Tonight, a hero son who dragged his father from his burning home tells of the heartache of losing him. Done deal. National Cabinet agrees to price caps on coal and gas. How it will bring bill relief to your household. The mother of a young football fan bashed with a didgeridoo faces the accused man in court. The King dodges questions after Harry and Meghan revealed their truth about life in the royal family. Tickets please, the Puffing Billy turns Polar Express bound for the North Pole. And Collingwood defender Darcy Moore recovering after a bone infection landed him in hospital.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Alicia Loxley.
Good evening. A brave son badly burned trying to rescue his dad from a Melton house fire has spoken of his heartbreak. Zach and his family say Travis Johns, who succumbed to the flames, was a wonderful, loving father and footy fanatic. Maggie Rayworth has this exclusive report.
Loving, kind and funny with a beautiful smile. That's how Travis John's family will remember him.
He just was the most kindest soul ever. He would help anyone in a heartbeat.
Last Friday, Trav's Melton South home erupted into flames. Badly burnt for several days, the father of 3 fought for life in hospital. On Monday, Trav succumbed to his injuries. Today would have been his 42nd birthday.
I texted him and I said, I'm right across from you, Dad. I sent a video and I said, you got this, you know, I'll see you soon. I didn't think that he was going to pass away from it, you know what I mean?
Trav was living with a brain tumour. Surgery left him without the ability to use the left side of his body. So when fire tore through his home, he couldn't escape alone. Zach did all he could to save his father.
He's screaming for help and I just tried to drag him, but I just couldn't because it was just dead weight, you know what I mean? Like it was pure dead weight.
Today, Zach is covered in burns and battling infection.
My body's 8% burnt. I had blisters everywhere up here.
Trav's family is heartbroken. His mother, Marlene, still struggling to comprehend the loss.
I don't know, I'm just in shock. I think still I'm empty, I'm lost. I don't know how I'm going to live without him.
She says her boy was a good person with a kind heart who loved his footy.
Definitely loved his kids more than anything, pretty much. And you see the smile in the photos with him and his kids. You see how proud he was of them. And a big smile every time he was with them.
Zach has a long way to go. He'll spend at least another 2.5 weeks here at the Alfred Hospital. On Wednesday, he'll undergo surgery again, where he'll receive skin grafts. As this heroic young man recovers, he wants people to know just how great his dad was.
And I just love him and miss him.
That I love him so much and I'll miss him for the rest of my life. And he'll always be in my heart. Love you, Trav.
Maggie Rayworth, 9 News.
The Prime Minister has unveiled a plan to reduce power bills, with National Cabinet agreeing to price caps on coal and gas to drive down energy costs. As Fiona Willan explains, to pass the changes on urgently, Federal Parliament will be recalled next week.
Powering up to bring power bills down. Premiers beaming into National Cabinet.
Thanks everyone for coming together in this way.
Before the Prime Minister comes out of COVID isolation to confirm a deal has been done.
Extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures.
The state and federal governments agreeing to a 4-part plan, including
nationally targeted bill relief. The Commonwealth will provide up to $1.5 billion to provide support for households and also small businesses.
The money will be paid through state governments as direct discounts on energy bills from April 2023.
That's how you take money off people's bills rather than provide cash payments, and that's important so that you have a deflationary impact rather than inflationary.
There will also be price caps on coal and gas for 12 months and an agreement to drive investment in cleaner, cheaper, more reliable energy.
It's a constructive plan to deal with the challenges that households and businesses are facing.
Federal Parliament will be recalled next week to pass laws to push ahead with the price caps. after Queensland and New South Wales, the two coal states, eventually agreed to come on board.
At the end of the day, we work best when we work together, and I'm absolutely pleased with the outcome that has been achieved today.
This government is an economic train wreck. They have no idea what they're doing. They float ideas every day, and they aren't honouring the promises that they made at the last election.
This is not going to bring down prices by Christmas. Hopefully it will avoid the bigger price increases that we might have seen in the middle of the next winter.
Price caps will help to control the costs that business is facing at the moment. It needs to be temporary, it needs to be measured. We can't rely on this in the longer term.
This isn't only a problem for households and businesses, it's also a political problem for the government. Labor went to the election promising to reduce power bills by $275 by 2025. Instead, the October budget is forecasting they'll rise by 56% over 2 years amid a global energy crisis.
There has already been some downward pressure on price as a result of the Commonwealth saying that we would take action.
OK, let's go live now to our state political reporter, Mark Santomartino, who's at Parliament House tonight. Mark, how much can Victorians expect to save?
Alicia, thanks to these efforts to curb the overall wholesale price of both gas and electricity, it's hoped that the average Australian household will be up to $230 better off throughout 2023 and 2024. That is in the form of cheaper electricity and gas bills rather than cash in your pocket, but a cash injection is also on its way. You'll remember that back during the election campaign, Daniel Andrews promised a third round of the $250 Power Saver bonus. Hundreds of thousands of households have claimed this before. As always, to get that $250, you'll have to head to the Vic Energy Compare website and try to find a better deal. You don't exactly have to change providers to be eligible, just log in and have a look, and that $250 is yours. That relief, as well as some additional relief for those on Commonwealth payments, will arrive just in time for winter next year. The $250 Power Saver bonus will get here first, and it'll open in March of 2023. Alicia?
OK, Mark Santomartino, thank you. A policeman has been slashed in the face during a violent arrest in Melbourne South. Officers had tracked a stolen food delivery vehicle to a home in First Avenue when the two occupants tried to escape to a nearby playground. They allege one of the men dropped a homemade gun from his pocket during the scuffle. The injured officer required hospital treatment. A family who tragically lost their son when he died of meningitis 2 days after being sent away from Wangaratta Hospital has been devastated by his avoidable death. Noah was experiencing a high fever and a rash when he was admitted by his distressed parents in December last year. The 19-month-old could have been treated with antibiotics, but the attending doctor did not administer the medication, instead sending the family away.
I could think of no more tragic situation than parents losing a child. And my heart and our thoughts go out to the family of that poor child.
The hospital also offered its condolences to Noah's family, saying patient safety is its #1 priority. The mother of a young footy fan bashed with a didgeridoo outside the MCG has faced her son's attacker for the first time. Musician Jesse Gardner told a magistrate he will plead guilty to the assault if his case is heard in an Indigenous court. Crime reporter Lana Murphy.
He all but admitted fault, but still no apology from Jesse Gardner.
Say you intend to plead guilty, you're going to say sorry to the victim now?
Silence again from the Dandenong musician accused of bashing a Richmond fan with a didgeridoo. Daniel Arado was struck while leaving Dreamtime at the G in May, chased by up to 10 people in what police say was an unprovoked attack. He was hospitalised for 5 days, left with a fractured skull and broken nose.
To see him lying on that bed, shocking.
Today, the 25-year-old's mother faced his alleged attacker for the first time.
Sick to my stomach.
Are you remorseful?
Would you like to say anything to the victim's family?
Are you embarrassed?
26-year-old Gardner was meant to be performing at the match, but failed to show for the Welcome to Country. Instead, he played outside the MCG. An hour later, Daniel was seriously injured. The supermarket worker has made a full recovery, but still struggles to speak about what happened.
Of the 71,000 people that were there that night, He would have been the last person that would have warranted anything like this at all.
In the 7 months since he was charged, Jesse Gardner hasn't bothered to find himself a lawyer. Today he had the support of an Aboriginal elder as he requested his matter be moved to Dandenong's Koori Court. The father of two got his way and will appear in January. Daniel's family hopeful that's when they'll see justice.
It's hard for people, it really is.
Lana Murphy, 9 News.
Harry and Meghan have pulled back the palace curtains to expose what they call the truth about life within the royal family. The first 3 episodes of the docuseries slams the British media and delivers fresh claims of racist treatment. More from Jonathan Kersley.
They wanted this to be their story.
It's really hard to look back on it now and go, what on earth happened?
As Harry and Meghan see it, from how they met on Instagram.
With the dog ears.
Dog ears. And
that's what he saw of me.
That was the first thing I was like, who is that?
The proposal and the aftermath.
Orchestrated reality show.
Meghan's first meeting with the Queen.
I curtsied as though I was like, pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Like, was that okay?
Having departed the royal family, the Duke and Duchess are now showing their private life to the world. Home movies and glimpses of a son kept out of the spotlight. In the couple's sights, the UK media.
No matter what I did, they were still going to find a way to destroy me.
Both claiming the treatment of Meghan ran deeper.
The difference here is the race element.
I said to her, I remember this very clearly, that this is about race. And Meg said, Mommy, I don't want to hear that.
Race a central theme, so too love.
So much of what Meghan is and how she is so similar to my mum.
Harry reflected on Diana's life with a swipe at royal men and marriage.
There can be a temptation or an urge to marry someone who would fit the mould.
Meghan opened up on meeting Prince William and Kate.
The formality on the outside carried through on the inside.
While Prince Harry had a pointed message for his father.
As a dad and as parents, I think consent is a really key piece to this.
Across the Atlantic and after the credits rolled, King Charles appeared calm and was carrying on.
Your Majesty, have you watched the documentary?
While a new row emerged over whether the royal family was asked to respond before the series aired. But this documentary was out to show a sad tale of pain and suffering, not for one family, but 2.
She had a father before this, and now she doesn't have a father.
There are still 3 episodes to be released. They will be dropped by Netflix next week. And while there's no new bombshell for the royal family to contend with just yet, it could be a case of watch this space. And Netflix will be hoping plenty of people do.
Suddenly what clicked in my head was, it's never going to stop.
I said, we need to get out of here.
In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
The royal family is staying quiet in the wake of the documentary, but the British media's response has been swift and vocal. Europe correspondent Brett McLeod is at Buckingham Palace. Brett, what has the reaction been?
Alicia, the tabloids have reacted in their usual restrained way. Here's an example. The Daily Mail calling it an assault on the Queen's legacy, while the Sun says Harry the Nasty. That's just a bit of the flavour you can expect. One Conservative MP has gone to say he'll put in a private members' bill calling for the couple to be stripped of the remaining royal titles. And then, of course, there's Piers Morgan.
Sadly, millions of people around the world will watch this series and they'll believe it. They'll believe the smears about Britain and our monarchy, that we're a bunch of bigoted and hateful people.
There has been no official reaction from the palace, but they have let it be known that they feel the whole thing is sad and there is still apprehension about what's in store for the remaining 3 episodes next week. Alicia.
Yes, indeed. OK, Brett McLeod, thank you. 500 million plastic bags have been found stockpiled around Melbourne as part of an ongoing investigation into the suspended REDcycle program. Officers from the Environment Protection Authority discovered 6 warehouses in the northern and western suburbs and are looking at another in Wodonga.
What we're interested in is not just the volume, but how is it being stored? Are there adequate risk controls in place, whether they're fire or other risks?
REDcycle says it's assisting with the investigation, which could lead to millions of dollars in fines. The Chief Prosecutor in Bruce Lerman's rape trial is calling for a public inquiry into political and police conduct, alleging the AFP interfered in the case. Among the explosive allegations, Shane Drumgold claims there was a very clear campaign to pressure him not to prosecute. The matter has been referred to the Australian Commission for Law Enforcement Integrity. Cricket Australia boss Nick Hockley has refuted allegations made by David Warner's manager that players were instructed to tamper with the ball long before the sandpaper saga. He's hoping to smooth things over with Warner when the second test wraps up. Zach Bailey has the latest.
David Warner thrust back into the spotlight.
I'm with my family, thank you. Can you give me some space? Thank you very much.
Despite the furore, Warner's teammates say the Aussie opener is holding up well.
Obviously, there has been a lot on his mind, but his demeanour and his personality doesn't seem like it's changed from, just looking in.
At last today, Cricket Australia's boss finally addressed the startling claims from Warner's manager that players were instructed to tamper with the ball by senior executives in 2016, 2 years prior to Sandpapergate.
I haven't heard that before, and again, I can't comment on, kind of these unfounded allegations.
The Sandpapergate scandal was reignited when Warner suddenly abandoned his bid to overturn a leadership ban when faced with a public hearing.
This was never, and this was not, about re-looking at the events or the decision. This was about looking at the sanction and whether the behaviour since and the remediation, the remorse was such that the ban could be modified.
Zach Bailey, 9 News.
OK, and now looking ahead to sport, here is Tony Jones.
Thanks, Alicia. Good evening. Another big-name Magpie has been hospitalised. Here's Joshua Dorr.
Tony, hard-pressed to find a more important man at Collingwood than Darcy Moore, but his pre-season has been rocked by a bone infection, which forced him to spend time in hospital. The club has acted quick. He is now at home recovering, and there is a little bit more good news. I'll have those details in sport.
All right, Josh, we'll talk to you then. Also tonight, some footy fanfare as the AFL releases the fixture for its Gather Round. The Aussies lose their head to dampen another dominant day against the West Indies. From the frenzy of the World Cup, Ed's back to earth for a couple of City stars. And is Don, is Ash? That's all coming up a little later on in sport.
That's a good tease.
You
All
like
right,
that?
Tony. Yeah, we'll see you soon. Ahead in Melbourne's 9 News, a teacher who lured students into sending him sexually explicit images sentenced to jail. Celine Dion cancels her shows, revealing a devastating rare health diagnosis. And Sacre Bleu, Paris is suddenly plunged into darkness. A predator teacher who lured his students into sending him sexually explicit images could be out of jail in just under 2 years. Timothy Cordova posed as a teenage girl online to abuse victims as young as 11. Adam Hegarty was in court.
Giving you the content that you want.
Timothy Cordova, online creator.
Where we shall be delving deep into an island of the dead.
Now convicted online predator with a heinous catch. A former primary school teacher, many of his victims were found at his own school. His mother, stepdad and brother in court to hear his fate.
What sentence? I don't know what you're talking about.
I was in court with you. Do you have anything to say about your brother's sentence?
Yeah.
What do you have to say about it?
Nothing.
His brother jailed for 4 years, but he could be free on parole in just a year and 8 months. His fake persona, 14-year-old girl Matilda Roberts, on 4 social media accounts. He lured young students aged 11 to 16 into sending him sexual content, also sharing his own child abuse images. Using his school's database, he downloaded student photos, some from swimming carnivals, and even superimposed faces onto explicit scenes. Police finding more than 5,600 images and 14 victims.
Psychologists have described Cordova as being genuinely remorseful after 40 hours of counselling, while the judge took into account not just his mental state, but also a guilty plea.
Some of the victims' families in court for that ruling and clearly shattered. Once out.
Signing off.
Adam Hegarty.
Bye-bye.
9 News.
Paris lost its world-famous nighttime sparkle when the City of Lights was hit by a massive blackout. There's been no official explanation yet, but the power failure follows recent warnings from the government. The energy crisis caused by the Ukraine war could lead to outages. Superstar Celine Dion has made an emotional video detailing her rare and debilitating health battle. As Jane Azzopardi reports, the singer is postponing her European tour while she receives treatment for a neurological disease.
There were nights when the wind was so cold.
Have been diagnosed with a very rare neurological disorder called stiff person syndrome.
In an emotional 5-minute video,
is singing. It's what I've done all my life. And it's what I love to do the most.
Stiff person syndrome is a rare autoimmune neurological disease. It causes progressive muscle stiffness and painful spasms that can vary in severity between patients. Things like stress, cold temperatures and unexpected noises can make the symptoms worse. There's no cure, but symptoms can be eased with treatments ranging from a combination of medications to physiotherapies and exercise.
This disease is incurable. We can only manage it and hope to slow people's progression.
And I really hope I can see you again real soon. Thank you.
Jane Azzopardi, 9 News.
And Stephanie Anderson is here now for a check on the weather for us, and it's been cool again, Steph.
It sure has, Alicia. We started the day under very grey skies, and while it didn't take too long for the sunshine to make an appearance, it was still rather chilly. The city peaked at 17.6 after an overnight low of 11. It's been mostly dry across the state, apart from some isolated showers along the Bellarine Peninsula, as well as East Gippsland. They've now cleared as this high-pressure system inches ever so slightly closer, and we can look forward to it feeling like summer tomorrow as winds switch around to a more northerly flow. So just like last week, the weather will turn it on for the weekend, and with some important dates coming up, hopefully we can keep that trend going, Alicia.
Yes, well said. All right, Steph, we'll see you a bit later on. Still to come, mourners in Archie Roach's funeral procession fined for running a red light. On the ground and in the air, police hot on the heels of a driver. An American basketball star free in a prisoner swap deal with Russia. And a famous Melbourne face shows off his brand new look.
9 News, brought to you by Ram Trucks.
Mourners following the funeral of singer-songwriter Archie Roach are planning to contest fines issued for running a red light during the procession. Those involved say some motorbikes and the hearse were captured on a fixed camera while waiting for the parade to continue as a group in St Kilda. Victoria Police says disobeying red light signals poses significant safety risks. A man has led police on a wild high-speed chase in Perth, ending in a rooftop standoff more than an hour later in Fremantle. More than 10 patrol cars and the air wing were involved in the pursuit. The driver fled on foot, hiding in bushes before climbing onto a roof and shouting erratically. He eventually came down and was placed under arrest. An American basketball star jailed on drugs charges has been returned to the US under a prisoner swap deal with Russia. Brittany Griner was held for 10 months, entangled in flailing relations between Moscow and Washington over the war in Ukraine. Lizzie Pearl has more.
Brittany Griner on the left, Victor Bout on the right. The US basketball star exchanged with a notorious Russian arms dealer in a one-for-one swap on an airport tarmac in the UAE. Hours earlier, in Russia, a relieved Brittany Griner signed release papers. Before, with her bags packed, she left behind a brutal winter and the gates of a Russian penal colony, bound for US soil.
What's your mood?
Happy.
Well, are you ready for a long flight?
Yes. Do you know where I'm heading to? No. No?
No. Вы летите домой.
You fly back home. To the US. To the US.
Да, конечно.
The prisoner swap kept a secret, even from the prisoners.
She's safe. She's on a plane. She's on her way home.
And today it's just a happy day for me and my family, so I'm going to smile right now.
The two-time Olympic gold medalist was staring down 10 years in a Russian prison after being caught with cannabis vape cartridges by airport security. The man on the other end of the swap, Victor Boot, an arms dealer known as the Merchant of Death, convicted in 2011 of plotting to kill Americans and sentenced to 25 years. This deal comes at a tense time between the US and Russia, and it didn't come cheap. The Biden administration tried to negotiate a 2-for-1 deal, but Russia said no, and another American prisoner has been left behind. Former US Marine Paul Whelan, jailed in Russia since 2018, accused of being a spy.
This was not a choice of which American to bring home. The choice was one or none.
In the United States, Lizzie Pearl, 9 News.
Pope Francis has wept as he mentioned the suffering of Ukrainians during a traditional prayer in Rome. Speaking at the Spanish Steps, the pontiff was applauded by the crowd when he was unable to speak. He's mentioned the war in Ukraine at most of his public appearances over recent months. As China finally unwinds some of its most extreme COVID rules, its biggest cities are running low on medical supplies. Hospitals are said to be rationing ibuprofen and paracetamol, and millions of people have begun stockpiling drugs. Positive residents with mild symptoms are now allowed to isolate at home instead of at a facility. Melbourne's most famous face has a new look, and today he got to show it off. Luna Park's Mr Moon has been fully restored for the first time in decades, just in time for its landmark 110th anniversary. Reid Butler with the story.
With one last lick of paint, Mr Moon's makeover is complete.
One of the main challenges was the weather. We've just had an unbelievable amount of rain.
And artist Mark Ogue is proud of his handiwork.
It's a real honour to be able to work on it.
Cracked lips, no more. Those hungover eyes back to being bright and blue.
There was a lot of peeling on the forehead and on the nose in particular.
Yeah, well, the pandemic's been hard on all of us.
And of course, Mr Moon's big reveal was a star-studded affair. Rachel Griffiths among Luna Park's ambassadors.
It's just a joy to live in St Kilda and see the crowds back, see Melbourne back, see Mr Moon back, and everybody coming together.
Well, I think it looks way more open and friendly, and now he has better eyebrows.
Ross Thomas used to visit with his grandparents. Now he's back with his wife to say g'day to that famous face.
It's a great memory, and I saw it. I saw the refurb work being done, and I thought, yeah, I'll come down and have a look.
The landmark hasn't been restored since 1999, and there was pressure to get the job done quickly, with a major milestone rapidly approaching. With his new look, Mr Moon is feeling fresh in time for his big day, and thank goodness for that, because he'll be the guest of honour at the party for the park's 110th anniversary on Tuesday.
It would have been a bit of a shame if his birthday had come along and he was still lacked some details.
110 years old, and he's never looked better. Happy birthday, Mr Moon, and here's to many more. Reid Butler, 9 News.
Amazing. Well, the work of one of the greatest fashion designers of the late 20th century on show here in Melbourne. The details for you next. Thousands of Hyundais recalled over fears they could catch fire. Good news if you don't have time to exercise, how 1-minute bursts could benefit your heart. And all aboard the Polar Express, Puffing Billy brings a favourite Christmas tale to life. Almost 20,000 Hyundais are being recalled over fears they could catch fire because of a manufacturing defect. There are concerns the circuit board in the anti-lock braking systems of 2014 and 2015 model iX35s might short circuit even when the car is off. Owners of affected vehicles will be contacted. Well, the ASX pushed higher today with Star Casino investors shrugging off a 9-figure fine. Here's our finance reporter, Chris Kohler.
It was a positive end to a negative week on the market today. The ASX gained 37 points, but it's lost 88 since Monday morning. Mining companies were the strongest after the price of iron ore jumped, while Macquarie, CBA and Woodside Energy were all weaker. And even though Star Entertainment copped a $100 million fine and a 3-month suspension in Queensland, its shares rose slightly today. That said, they have lost a third of their value this year. And the Australian dollar rose slightly today. It was 68 US cents, 64 euro cents and 55 British pence.
And weekend petrol prices remain steady across the city. Collingwood and Essendon are among some of the most affordable spots to fill up, while it gets a little dearer in Sunbury. Short, sharp bursts of physical activity each day have been found to generate huge benefits for your health. As Gabriella Rogers explains, even a few minutes of exercise can significantly lower the risk of severe diseases.
There are plenty of good reasons why Australians struggle to find the time to exercise.
When you have kids and work, especially when you have very active kids, they're very busy.
Minto, mother of two, Morley Sharman, isn't alone.
Very few middle-aged adults are engaging in vigorous, intense activity during leisure time.
Experts say those who can't afford the time or money for this should be tapping into short bursts of incidental exercise they call VILPA.
And we have coined this concept of vigorous, intermittent lifestyle physical activity.
They say 1 minute bursts of intense activity several times a day, such as running for the bus, climbing stairs or chasing the kids, is just as good for your health.
Once we start getting out of breath, once we still feel the heart rate going a bit higher.
The exact benefits measured using these wrist trackers on 25,000 people who were non-exercisers. Long-term data from the UK Biobank found very short bouts of vigorous activity each day was associated with a 40% drop in the number of cancer deaths and a 49% reduction in the risk of fatal heart attacks and strokes compared to those who didn't do anything.
The effect sizes are comparable with meeting the full physical activity recommendation.
While the findings provide some comfort to those who can't find the time to exercise, those who can should stick to their routine. Experts say VILPA gives people another option.
If it's really helped, it's a good thing.
Gabriella Rogers, 9 News.
An exhibition celebrating the work of boundary-pushing fashion designer Alexander McQueen is about to open at the National Gallery of Victoria. McQueen is regarded as one of the most significant designers of the late 20th century, and the showcase highlights his bold ideas and technical brilliance.
What you see in this exhibition are examples from 31 of his 36 collections that were equally subversive, provocative, political, beautiful and uncompromising.
The exhibition runs from Sunday until April 16. A very special Christmas railway service is back on track. Puffing Billy's magical Polar Express is transporting pyjama-clad children to Victoria's own version of the North Pole, and Emily Rice went along for a ride.
Puffing Billy has been temporarily transformed into the Polar Express, bound for a magical festival destination.
To the North Pole, of course.
Every carriage was packed for the special service based on the classic Christmas movie, in which a pyjama-clad lad hitches a ride on a fantasy locomotive to see Santa.
The main character, the kid in the Polar Express, is wearing pyjamas on the Polar Express. Well, all the kids are.
All aboard the Polar Express! Santa's little helpers were dancing on departure. Then the heritage engine chugged its way along the narrow 122-year-old line, which snakes through the picturesque Dandenong Ranges.
This is an amazing experience. I'm so grateful for this.
It was wobbly. Seriously, it was just wobbly.
Legs dangling as per Puffing Billy tradition.
I get to stick my feet out the window.
A pit stop halfway for a bit of a jingle. Then it was full speed ahead for Victoria's own version of the North Pole. At the end of the line at Lakeside Visitor Centre Emerald, the big bloke in red met all of the cute commuters. Tickets to the special Polar Express have sold out, but it's still full steam ahead for Puffing Billy's traditional service, which runs every day except on December the 25th. But for many, the journey, not the destination, is the highlight of this joyous train ride.
It was amazing.
Emily Rice, 9 News.
Amazing indeed. All right, now here with sport is Tony Jones.
Very kind of you, Alicia. Thank you. Coming up next, Darcy Moore becomes the latest pre-season casualty for the Pies. Also after the break, the run-out that will have Cam feeling just a little green. Why number 3 is Finch's new lucky number. And she might be retired, but Ash is still chalking up the wins. Well, a trying week at Collingwood has ended with yet another scare. Key defender Darcy Moore landing in hospital with a bone infection. Let's go live now to Joshua Dorr in the newsroom with the details. And Josh, how will this affect his pre-season?
Well, Tony, he'll be out of action until after the Christmas break, along with Jordan De Goey, who of course underwent surgery on Monday. Still plenty of time to recover, but not ideal when your two best players end up in hospital in a matter of days. Moore had been missing from the track all week. The club revealing today that he went into hospital for treatment on a bone infection, which was picked up not on a football-related incident. So a bit of a scare there for the 26-year-old who was named the Pies Player of the Finals last year. The club is hopeful it picked up on it early and it won't be a long-term issue, but he'll remain at home getting that treated until returning to the track in January. A number of jumper changes at Collingwood today. Braden Maynard will take over number 4, left by Brodie Grundy, while Tom Mitchell will wear the number 6, the same number his dad wore when he played for the Pies back in '93. As for the AFL fixture, the league continues to seep it out slowly. Today, round 5, officially now known as Gather Round. All games in Adelaide. It will start with Carlton and the Crows on Thursday night, April 13, followed by Richmond and Sydney on the Friday night. There it is on your screen there, wrapped up by Collingwood and St Kilda on the Sunday. Certainly no blockbusters. The AFL says it didn't want to have too many big-name games wasted in this fixture. As for the remaining rounds, fixture boss Travis Auld says fixturing this Gather Round has delayed a few of the other rounds.
Adding a round of football into what is already a complicated process takes a bit of work. Getting that right and the rest of the fixture right has meant that we'll have it released this weekend.
That will be on Sunday. There will be extra flights put on from Melbourne to Adelaide for that round, with tickets to go on sale free for all club members on Monday, Tony.
All right, Josh Dorr reporting there. To cricket now, and an ugly run out, is there a good one? Has denied Travis Head the chance of a double century on day 2 of the second test against the West Indies. Head was on 175 when he fell short of the crease by millimetres. The Aussies building on last night's dominant display under lights. Luke Duffy with the story.
Twin tons under lights for Australia.
Catch it.
Wide. And runs. There it is.
Marnus Labuschagne reaching 3 figures for the 3rd straight innings. Travis Head making his first hometown 100.
And they are on their feet at the Adelaide Oval.
Daylight didn't stop the celebrations, the crowd going bananas as the 4th wicket partnership passed 200 runs.
An uppercut. Rides it really nicely.
Head, the main aggressor, marching past Marnus to reach 150 first.
There it is, 150 up with the boundary for Travis Head.
Labuschagne wasn't lagging far behind.
There it is, 150 for Marnus.
But 3 runs short of a triple century partnership.
Oh, that's a good catch. That really is a good catch.
Finally, a West Indies breakthrough. Labuschagne edging behind for 163. His skipper rewarding him with some sweet treats.
Well, Marnus is entitled to it, isn't he?
Head looked well on his way to a maiden double century until a costly mix-up with Cameron Green.
Oh, Travis Head get back. Oh, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, short of his ground.
Head furious as he walked off, run out for 175. Green made another mistake soon after.
It's out. Played on.
But as the sun goes down, Australia remains on top, chasing another first innings score of 500 plus. Luke Duffy, 9 News.
Meanwhile, Aaron Finch has found form ahead of the Big Bash season with a crafty unbeaten 79 not out against Melbourne Stars. Finch looked comfortable at number 3 in the practice match, but Stars recruit Trent Bolt will be looking to change that when he plays in his first Melbourne derby.
I'm definitely here for that one, and I'm looking forward to that exchange and a local derby, hopefully a big crowd at the MCG, and I'm sure it's a big one on everyone's calendar.
Jonathan Wells notched up an unbeaten century as the Renegades chased down 221 in 19 overs. Only days after returning from the World Cup, Matthew Leckie and Jamie McMillan are back to the less frenetic surrounds of the A-League. The duo will be in action over the border tomorrow night against Sydney FC, but the new City boss won't be risking Leckie, a World Cup goalscorer, after his packed schedule in Qatar.
Is he ready to start? Is that better for him to have a warm-up and start, or is it better to bring him on later in the game? So all those little things we will decide tomorrow.
City currently lead the A-League competition. And it's coming up to a year since she played her last match, but Ash Barty has taken out the Don Award, which recognises the sporting moment which has most inspired Australians over the past 12 months. In accepting the honour, Barty revealed she didn't feel any nerves at her Australian Open triumph.
In my eyes, there was no pressure. It was just about me trying to redeem myself in a way and playing how I'd always wanted to play. Go out there and play like the kid that fell in love with sport.
Barty is the third athlete or team to win the award twice. And, of course, the Newcombe Medal is being held on Monday night. That's tennis's version of the Brownlow. I think it's a fair bet.
I think we can put our money on Ash, exactly. All right, Tony.
Put your money on it.
Have a great weekend, thank you. Time now to check back in with Stephanie Anderson, and we have some warmer days on the way, Steph.
We do, Alicia, and well-timed again for the weekend. The city's maximums will climb above the December average on both Saturday and Sunday. One of those days is looking a lot better than the other, though. I'll let you know which one is on the nice and which is on the naughty list after the break. Hello again. It was nice to see a bit of sunshine on and off throughout the day. Even still, the city only made it to 17.6. Southerly winds capped daytime temperatures at 17, 18 and 19 around town. The Bellarine Peninsula had a few passing showers, but there wasn't a lot in them. Further out, temperatures were well below average at both ends of the day. Falls Creek got down to -5. Rutherglen went from being one of our coldest places overnight to equal warmest, climbing from a low of 3 to 23 degrees. There was also up to 5 millimetres of showers in East Gippsland, but there's dry skies across the board now, and we can expect a beautiful Saturday morning. It'll be mostly sunny before a bit of patchy cloud in the afternoon. Sunday will be even warmer. It won't be nearly as pleasant though, with northerly winds strengthening ahead of the next change and scattered showers developing with possible storms in the afternoon and evening. They'll persist on Monday and daytime temperatures will take a big hit again, then will remain under cool southwesterlies right through to this time next week. Taking a look elsewhere for tomorrow, Adelaide will easily be the hottest of the southern capitals. It's heading for 35 degrees before a late cool change. Brisbane and Perth will be 10 lower than that with 25. Sydney and Canberra are both heading for 23, but their overnight minimums will be vastly different, 16 and 5. There's a partly cloudy top of 19 on the way for Hobart. Back home, we're in for another chilly night, dropping to single figures almost right throughout, and there's the chance of frost in the east. Then plenty of sunshine will give temperatures a boost, up into the low to mid-20s for most of southern Victoria. Hamilton should reach 25, while in the north, 30 degrees in Mildura will be our warmest, otherwise looking at the mid to high 20s, and it'll get a little windy through elevated parts tomorrow night. Here in Melbourne, it'll be calm and mostly sunny, a low of 5 on the way for Coldstream. The Mornington Peninsula should stay a little milder overnight than the rest, but not by much. Rosebud is forecast to dip to 9 degrees ahead of a top of 22 and warming up to 25 and 26 closer in. Geelong is heading for 23 degrees with lots of blue sky, a low of 8 in the city before a lovely mild top of 25 under gentle breezes. Then becoming very windy on Sunday, 26 degrees. 6 to 15 millimetres is expected from the late afternoon, and we could hear some rumbles of thunder. Monday is looking very similar with up to 15 millimetres again, gusty winds, the chance of a storm and a much cooler top of 18. 18 on Tuesday as well with a shower or two. Then it's a triple hit of 15 with Wednesday, Thursday and Friday all looking cloudy with some showers. But back to the good news, we've got an absolutely ripping day in store tomorrow. The city is heading for a mostly sunny top of 25, and for those lucky enough to be heading to Billy Joel at the G tomorrow, it's looking like a picture-perfect night, Alicia.
Amazing. All right, Steph, thank you very much for that. And that is 9 News this Friday. Dimity Clancy is next with the current affair. I hope you have a lovely weekend. For now, good night.